Welcome to Trading Nation. Obviously, the big story, Apple's announcements, all kinds of new technologies. So let's just talk about what's going to happen with the company and with the stock. Today, we've got Max Wolf and Rich Ross. Rich, I want to start with you. What are your thoughts on Apple here?
Eric, I think this remains a stock in a very strong technical position outside of all the hoopla about the new phone here. So you look at this longer-term weekly chart and it gives you a big perspective about what's coming down the pike for Apple here. And what I see on the chart is a fantastic weekly cup and handle, which is a continuation pattern to the upside. You can see this multi-year base of support, which formed after really a cyclical bear market within this very long-running bull trend here. And then we break out into a smaller fractal of a base here. So I think, once again, we have a breakout within a breakout. And this is a stock that goes higher here. And now you have the catalyst fundamentally to drive it. You might get a little short-term sell the news, but I would be a buyer of any near-term weakness in anticipation of a strong fourth quarter in Apple.
Rich, I just want to stay with you for a follow-up question. This trillion-dollar market cap thing, do you think that has an effect on technicals because of just psychology when we get to that level? Do you think that might create an effect that people haven't seen before with charts?
Only in the very short term. I think, as you see, you see the prices running across the screen on CNBC. Those are prices. Prices are what weigh on market psychology, greed and fear, support and resistance. We don't trade in market cap. We don't trade in cash flows. We trade in price. So I think big round numbers are more likely to have a big impact, whether it's 200, if you will, than that trillion-dollar market cap level.
All right, Max, let's turn to you. What are your thoughts on kind of the quick reaction to the announcements that came out?
Yeah, so look, I think it was interesting to see the new sort of spaceship campus and the new Steve Jobs arena in there where they had the host. It might have gotten as much attention as some of the devices. Look, we think it's going to be continued strength for a little while here. We think they're going to be able to defend a 38 to 40% margin that they've held onto for years, which is something of a minor miracle in the consumer electronics space. 3 models make sense. The high sticker price, while it will cause some shock, will allow them to sell the 7s around the world to less high-income countries a little bit more aggressively. So again, we think that it's still an iPhone story, and they're going to have to diversify that at some point. This doesn't look like it's going to be the point they do it, but we think the next 3 months look pretty good. And this is, by the way, a new launch toward the end of the year is a real tough time historically to bet against Apple.
What about the idea, it's a little silly, but these new headquarters? A lot of times people talk about when companies go this far to building out their own space, it usually suggests some kind of a top. I mean, Max, you mentioned that briefly. Do you think that's a sign of the end for Apple?
Yeah, so I think, look, there have been a bunch of folks who got themselves a lot of trouble with the headquarters. This certainly was not a inexpensive or low-key build, from the spaceship effect to the ginormous price tag there. But the truth is, this is a company sitting on so much cash they could have afforded to have built 3 of these. So I think what happens is sometimes people front-run this and they decide they're going to build the headquarters of the future. Apple can already sustain this headquarters, so I don't think it'll be the problem in this particular case.
All right, and then, Rich, I just want to end with you. Is there a level where if we were to get there on the downside, it feels like, oh, maybe this trade is over? Like, what are you watching for?
Yeah, well, I think post-earnings, when we saw that gap higher, I believe the level came in around 156. That's when we broke out to a new near-term and all-time high at the time post-earnings. If we fell back below that level for any particular amount of time here, it would open the door potentially to a deeper short-term pullback without necessarily calling into question the strength of that uptrend. So let's watch that old pivot high around that 156 level for a potential break point that signals maybe some further near-term weakness.
All right, then I'm just going to end each of you, personal question. How many Apple products do you guys own right now?
I'd say at least 6.
At least 6 that you're using?
Well, I've got 3 kids, and they all yep. take over the old products.
There we go. Max, what about you?
I have 3.
3. All right, not bad, not bad. All right, so that's 9 between the two of you, and I don't know how many I have at home between iPads and iPhones and computers and all of that stuff. So it's a lot. You can see why that stock is up so high, right? All right, my thanks to Max and Rich for joining us here on Trading Nation. I'm Eric Chemi. We'll see you next time.